Hello, everybody. Dave Neal here, stand-up comic host of Bachelor Nation News, and we've got some barrel to scrape today. Most screwed up thing I've ever seen on TV, says Tammy, regarding the great unfollowing Brendan and Piper, why it was so egregious, and what her thoughts were as she was on the sand, at the beach, under the palapa, having a margarita, what went down, and she's also going to talk about the sort of etiquette amongst Bachelor in Paradise contestants when it comes to talking about brand deals and Instagram and all of the things they're supposed to pretend don't exist. Did Brendan and Piper do anything egregious, or were they just slammed because they said it all on camera on a hot mic? We're going to get into all of that. It's that time of season where we scrape the barrel. No new episodes till July 11th, 2022. Let's scrape, baby!
Barrel Scraping Dave.
All right, so if you aren't familiar, Game of Roses, we just made another video about them. Fantastic podcast, great production value, good bricks, good lighting, good audio, good chemistry. And here they are, new YouTube channel. Give them a subscription. And also, do a favor and buy their book, How to Win the Bachelor. They do such a fantastic job. Why is it that, the people that make it outside of Bachelor contestants always have to have something special about them? I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about Game of Roses. I mean, they really go the extra mile with their in-depth analysis. As writers in Hollywood, they know a little something or another about juxtaposition. And let's see what Tammy has to say about combining the social media world with the show itself.
The result, it's like, when a person at home is watching it gets mad, they're coming after the player. They're never like, this show is fucking mean, or these producers did that person dirty. They're like, that person's a pile of shit. Yeah. Now let me fire off a death threat. It's crazy to me. And then they don't care, seemingly, the producers. But all that said, as fun as all this is, you decide to come back for a second tour in paradise. You wind up on sand, VIP, season 7, which is historically one of the craziest seasons of all time. You were obviously involved in a love triangle with Aaron Clancy and his rival, the big body trash can, Thomas Jacobs. But in that time, you're there when Brandon Moraes is there. You're there when Piper shows up. You witnessed that whole thing go down.
Yeah.
What was that like? And also, are you and the other players pretty openly talking about Instagram and why you came on the show? Were they isolated in that? Or are you all kind of talking about it and they just chose to use their footage to make them into villains?
I think Paradise is just such a different ballgame than the main shows.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, we've all accumulated our followers, and I don't think anyone's going into it to have more followers.
No one's going into Paradise to have more followers?
They are, but no one's talking about it,
Okay.
So we're really just trying to survive day by day. It's so hot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think where Brendan and Piper screw up is that they were talking about it very, very openly.
Right.
And sure, there's little conversations that we'll talk about, how much did this brand give you, blah, 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 because we did brand deals before Paradise because we had all of COVID. But it does look really bad on Brendan and Piper's part.
Totally.
But that was real,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No one coerced them to do that. Those are real things. And I've heard Piper talk about followers and popularity before she even came onto the beach.
Which is a cardinal sin. It strikes me as so strange because you see people like Grocery Store Joe, for example, who I have some questions about as well. But he's accrued over 1 million followers. He went from a night one guy in his season of Bachelorette to 2 tours in Paradise, 1 million followers, selling his sauce on a Bachelor Nation podcast as a host. And he doesn't really talk about it. There's some stuff that will slip through the cracks on clickbait every once in a while where he talks about engagement or how he likes his followers or whatever. But he played the game. He pretended like that didn't matter to him.
It does.
It clearly does. Of course.
Yeah. 100%.
Otherwise, delete your Instagram account.
Right.
But I was just curious, I believe everybody on Paradise has to be at least aware of the fact that this can up your numbers.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, of course, it's pretty obvious. We get that admitted, but now we're gonna go back to Brendan and Piper in a second here. But I'm just following the timeline. 46-25. They talk about some of the other aspects of the players, the contestants on the show that are protected.
First audience game was impeccable.
Yeah.
But when you're on sand, do you get the feeling that there are protected players at all?
100%. Look at everyone who has a podcast.
Hey, I agree with you. This is what we say all the time.
No, that was actually the most frustrating part of it because I'm like, there's nothing that I can do that will help me in this situation because I don't have a podcast.
Yeah. Right.
Joe's great and all, but why was he first sand? He was not on any recent season of the past, 4 years?
because I think they wanted to do that thing that they did with Kendall, where it's like they're going to send him in, let him fall in love. In a best case scenario, he falls in love with somebody and they're about to propose, and then they bring in Kendall to be like, wait, I'm still here. And they did exactly that. But yeah, I mean, everybody on Clickbait got preferential treatment. Natasha Parker, they gave her a rose out of thin air.
Right.
Jeez, yeah, that's great points. They all got preferential treatment. And Tammy brings a good point. She's like, I don't have a podcast, so they don't take care of me. And that's kind of what it is. She doesn't have as much equity within the company as some of these other people do. So they're obviously going to try to promote the Becca Kufrins and the game players, Natasha, and things like that. You hate to see it, but that's how it is. The fringe players are not going to get the same sort of attention that they have investments with and trust with. All right, back to Brendan and Piper.
Having these relationships beforehand, Piper and Brendan dating beforehand, Alana Milne and Chris Conran meeting in San Diego. Do you think that they were the only people that had discussed a possible relationship before? Do you think that people are all DMing before they go to Paradise?
The only true person that actually came there with like more than a friendship was Brendan and Piper. Chris and Alana did not have a relationship prior. I was at that trip. I spent the whole week with them.
Right.
Like, Chris did not stay at our place. It was just a girl's house with Stefan. I mean, Stefan's one of the girls at this point. But yeah, that wasn't like Chris just happened to be in town because he was with Chasen and Spencer.
Yeah.
Like there was they did not kiss prior. And I 100% have proof that they did not have a relationship before. So that's why I'm like, when Joe called them out, I go, where are you pulling this from? You know?
So like if you don't remember this part of the season, Brendan and Piper had already been called out, and next thing you know, you've got Chris Conran who's hooking up with Jasenia, and then all of a sudden Alana shows up, and then he's like, let me just see what's going on with Alana, and the next thing you know, he's making out with Alana. Alana just shows up, but then people go, you guys knew each other from San Diego. So from the outside looking in, they were already suspect of this couple because of what Brendan and Piper had done, but they said, hey, no, we've never hooked up. We've never, been anything. Are we supposed to be on the beach to pursue stuff? And of course, they got ran out of there, and they're really pissed. They're still very pissed. And people go, why does it matter? And it's like, this is their life. They went down onto a show. They were kind of, thrown into the wolves, and then they were kicked out. And they're actually together, living together, happy. So clearly, they did have something, and it did not work out well on the show.
No. But you didn't pull the same stuff with Brendan and Piper? It's because Alana and Chris are, week tours on their season? Easier target.
Totally. The hierarchy
I
is
think
something...
that whole situation was so screwed up because that was something that they did not deserve whatsoever.
So the hierarchy that the hosts are talking about here is the fact that Brendan Moraes was a finalist, that Piper and Brendan had more equity and time in the show than Chris and Alana. So when it came down to Alana trying to stick up for herself, you see Grocery Store Joe and you see Riley saying, no, don't talk. And they kind of treated them like this Lord of the Flies scenario where they were king of the beach.
I don't think anybody deserved that stuff. I mean, what happened to Brennan and Piper? They hemorrhaged massive amounts of followers. They lost all kinds of SpawnCon brand deals.
That was insane.
Like, that cost them significant money. Brennan, I think maybe more than Piper. And it's like, for what? Because they were open about, like, as you're saying, everybody goes on there knowing, like, this can help my Instagram, which means it can help my money. And they're just, like, talking about it openly.
Where it screwed up is that he really fucked over Natasha.
Yeah.
Like true, like in the truest, realest form. Like that was the most screwed up thing I've ever seen on television.
Right.
From people that I know. And when I was on the beach, I had no idea that was happening.
Right.
Like, because she wasn't very vocal about her relationships. I just saw them together all the time. I'm like, well, that's cute. Like, they're probably just gonna hang out and chill and see what it's like.
Yeah. I
knew that Piper was going to come down. I'm like, I wonder how this is going to be. But I had no idea that Brendan was saying these things about Natasha. I did not know like the private conversations that him and Piper had.
Yeah, so of course, as we see, the real egregious moment by Brendan that caused him to lose, 100,000 Instagram followers, was that he had messed with Natasha's time. He had strung her along waiting for Piper to show up. And look, we know for a fact that's what happened, right? That's exactly what happened. And he says, kind of, hey, Piper and I aren't even together. Like, we're not official, that type of deal. But of course, when it came down to it, he was stalling till Piper showed up. And he was like, come on, can she get here already? Whatever. Now, of course, where he that all is perfectly fine. The thing that he did that was wrong was he sort of made Natasha believe like she had a chance, and he kind of talked about how, well, I like to take it slow. I've been divorced, this and that, and of course that pissed Tayshia off because she was like, I had the same deal with him where he was like, I don't really know, But anyway, I'm happy he's happy now. It was a tough lesson to learn. Let me know what you guys think. I'm going to be going live right after this on the Patreon today, patreon.com/Dave Neal. If you want private membership only content, we'll see you all in a little bit. Bye, everybody.